I know you're much younger than me, and you just flipped 30.
Yeah.
So at 30, and you've given me some detail as to your experimental days in your 20s. At 30, how many regrets do you have?
Oh, okay. Let me think about that, because I had thought of that recently, and I'm trying to think, like, on the top of my head. I guess the main regret is that I didn't, if I could, like, sum it up, is that, I mean, I guess I just, kind of like we were talking earlier, I didn't, like, take those big risks or those big chances, that I wasn't bold enough, perhaps. Like, you know, I hate to say it, but, like, where would I have been had it's like I could have even dropped out of college, and I probably would have been doing what I'm doing now just fine. But I don't want to say that, because you never know where a degree of separation meets you somewhere. But I mean, I could have started this when I was perhaps a lot younger. I kind of wish I maybe got out of, I moved out of the Worcester area. But I mean, I was telling Blake earlier, I did move to Austin for a couple months, but I mean, I guess that counts as a move, but I didn't really like, it wasn't
That's a
successful.
risk.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. I guess I think I downplay myself a bit too much, so. But yeah, I think, yeah, that maybe I just wasn't like bold enough, or I didn't listen to myself enough. I listened to a lot of people, which served me well. I took a lot of great advice and everything, but there's something about youth and just going out and screwing up, making those mistakes, and
So it's more philosophical regret than any other manifestation of regret.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like a particular event that's like, I really wish I didn't do that. I mean, if anything, it would have just been like that I didn't spend enough time with like friends or family or something like that. In a certain instance, like I didn't go to that birthday party or whatever, you know. Nothing really strikes my head. I mean,
well, it's good. It's good that you. I mean, I had to ask the question, and you didn't really have an answer. You had to think about that.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not something you dwell on, which I think is healthy.
Yeah. True.
I'm twice as old as you, plus 1 year, and I just have 2. And they're stupid.
Yeah.
They're non-factors, really. One was, I briefly had a Rolex Submariner that I bought when I was working part-time at a jewelry store on Newbury Street, and I bought it for short money, right? And then I ended up selling it about 2 years later. I bought it for $50, and it was a real one because I was getting it from a jewelry store.
Yeah.
And I sold it for $2,000.
Wow.
But I'll never get that watch back. Now, that's a $18,000 watch. So I regret that, but it made sense at the time because I needed the money. Yeah. And then the other one girl, one night. I just played it incorrectly, and that was that, you know. And I thought about that for a little bit, but it was a girl, and it was one night, and there, you know, nothing else would have come from it, and I certainly did learn from that. But that's it, you know. And I had to think about that because somebody asked me the very same question, like, what are your regrets? I'm like, guess it's just those 2.
Yeah.
It's not a career choice. It's not a relationship choice, because that girl was gorgeous, but not my type. Yeah. You know. So I think that's pretty great. You know, because you don't dwell on things like what if I didn't take that chance? What if I didn't meet this one person who introduced me to this other person? Like there's none of that. You know, which I think, you know, especially as you age and you look back at your career and your accomplishments and, you know, the relationships that you've formed over a 35-year span. It just sets you up for that last chapter of your life being content and relaxed.
Yeah.
And not saying, I got to do this, this, and this, and this before I die. It's like, you already did that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can kind of sit back and observe and feel like you did everything that you wanted to do, everything that you could do. And, if life is a game, you won.
Yeah.
So, anywho.
No, that's beautiful. That's I love. I think that's great that you only have 2 regrets. I mean, that's way better than some people that may have a whole a list of regrets. And what you're saying is making me think. This has actually been in my mind the past week or so. Do you think our character is defined by our achievements and our accomplishments?
I do.
Yeah,
I do very much so. I mean, it's been a overarching philosophy of mine, since I moved from Maine to Boston for art school. I set out specific goals for myself, specific life for myself, and I do define myself by achievements. I think that plays into any sort of person who's in a creative industry. There's humble creatives, but they also are monitoring their IMBD, and they're also monitoring their likes when they post new work on Instagram and LinkedIn and other networks. Like those, they want their achievements to be recognized. They're not working incredibly hard 14-hour days and untenable conditions under incredible financial and schedule pressure not to have those efforts recognized,
right,
even if it's just by your mom.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely, I think all creative people are keeping a tally,
Yeah.
Of their accomplishments, and are certainly incredibly forthcoming when asked. Like even if they are incredibly humble, but I heard you shot this thing in San Juan. How was that? It's like, you asked,
Right.
So now that gives me an opportunity to talk about this film or video or photography shoot that you're incredibly proud of.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So there.
Yeah.
How's that for an answer?
I love that. That's great. Because I've been thinking about that. It's like, are we as... it's funny, we're starting out with real big philosophy. This is great. But I think about that is because I just finished with my partner. We finished our first feature-length film.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I think about that as am I... I think you're right. I did this film, and for the past 5 years, I've been building my own freelance video production business, now turning into an agency, building the podcast here. And, I guess one could say it's just there is still an innate character inside you that is unchanged regardless of your environment. But at the end of the day, I think what we do in life, it does reflect who we are, So, somebody who does do great achievements and is going to San Juan making that amazing documentary, working their ass off 12-hour days, that does speak to who they are, I think. So I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And going back to that film, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because I'm sure you've encountered people who, there's always that stereotype in movies and books of somebody who's always wanted to write the great American novel. And they talk about it, and they've been talking about it for 20 years, and they've done absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm sure you've encountered, and I know I've encountered kids just out of Emerson and BU and NYU and USC that, oh yeah, I got this script in development, we're going to make it.
Right.
Easier said than done. You know, you can write that script, but you know, are you connected to somebody with money? Who's investing in this? Who's your crew going to be?
Yeah.
You know, who's your editor going to be? You know, who's color grading? Who's doing the music? Like it's a Herculean task to get even a short film made, and to do a feature length and not just talk about it, but to take the action and do it is incredibly impressive and a noble achievement. And very, very difficult. And, you know, congratulations for actually doing it and not just talking about it.
Thank you. I'm humbled by that, and I greatly appreciate that. And I what you're speaking to, I think it makes a lot of sense, because I notice people, in a way, it's kind of become at times a red flag where I see people, they just talk and talk and talk about this idea. Nothing's being really executed, whether it's a film or a podcast or a business. I've seen a lot of those where people, they talk about doing a business, and I've seen that, and I don't want to replicate. I don't want to go that path. So I, maybe to a fault, I kind of just, I do my best to just stay in my own lane and, you know, just walk the walk. And do you think, like, is that that's ought to be a fine line to draw? Like, I imagine, I mean, look what you've done here. I mean, and we will go into your story, your success. I mean, do you think that there's an element of kind of finding that boundary of, like, because at the end of the day, people got to know what you're doing, right? So how do you distinguish? It's like, okay, people got to know about what I'm doing. I got to share it somehow, but I also don't want to just talk and boast about this idea and then nothing gets done.
Well, you need, actually, we both do. We both need to talk about what we're doing, because it's not being a braggart. It's you're an independent filmmaker. You have your own company. You have to talk about what you're doing. Right? Like, because that builds recognition, that builds competence. Like we both need to talk about what we're doing. I need to talk about what we're doing because, you know, I'm promoting a new technology in the region, right? And I'm trying to convince production companies and agencies, in-house agencies, direct-to-client companies that virtual production, extended reality, XR, is a cost-efficient way to shoot multiple locations, multiple realistic locations, without the hassle of company moves, location scouts, permitting, details, base camps. And it's, you know, if I'm not always talking about the technology and the creative advantages and the efficiencies, then I'm not going to build the business. I'm not going to convince people to make that analog jump to the digital jump. I'm not going to convince creative people and producers and production companies and directors and DPs to make that jump from practical locations or practical sets to virtual XR sets. So we have to talk about it. And we have to, I don't say brag, but we have to, and I want to say embellish, because that's not right either. You have to be fully committed, right? And people can tell whether you're fully committed or not. And it's passion, it's enthusiasm, and that's infectious. It helps to have done what, you know, my peers are trying to do with ambitious creative, but ever shrinking budgets. Because I was on the agency side, I was on the production side. I know exactly what they're going through, and I know exactly how excited I would be if I was still at a big full service agency like Mullen or Arnold or Hill, or if I was able to tell my creative team that, look, we have a 1-day budget, we have a 1-location budget. We got to be local. We got to be shooting in a dentist's office or somebody's residence, and that's it. We can't afford anything else. But be able to say, for that 1-day budget, we can be in the dentist office, we can be in the biotech lab, we can be in the open concept living room, we can be in the backyard if we do this in XR, extended reality, and looking like a hero, like, really? No way. We can do that. We can travel without the travel. It's like, yes, you can. And like I would be a huge proponent. If I was still at Mullen, I would have brought my creatives up here on a field trip. We as a company are very welcoming. We want people to come up because I can show a presentation on my laptop and slides, and it's cool. But showing people this, showing people the robot, introducing creative people and makers to our team, which is composed of very, very talented, very, very nice people who just want to collaborate and make cool stuff. That changes everything. It's like what we brought up earlier about your film, like talking the talk, versus actually committing. When people are here, they can see what the technology and the new technology, the new imaging technology, be it Unreal Engine or generative AI or even 2D plates, is capable of. It changes everything. Yeah.
Show don't tell, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you gotta be here. You gotta see the scope. Consider it a tech scout.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I mean, I love that so much about, I was telling you before we started rolling, the studio lab here, just that interactive component, that tenet of what makes you guys who you are, bringing people in, whether it is freelancers and filmmakers like me, or people at these marketing agencies or potential clients, what have you, just to see what you're all about and what you all do. And in a way, you've kind of, in part in doing that, you've kind of activated the community a lot more. You've integrated a lot of people. You've kind of like harnessed these connections that maybe wasn't initially intended.
You're referring to Industry Night.
Well, I guess it's a big a part of it, I think. And then just in general, I think, the idea of doing these tours, bringing people in. Industry Night, I think, is more what I'm alluding to.
So here's what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
For the uninitiated, for your audience who's listening or and viewing this, let you know what Industry Night is.
Please.
And then what I would like is your perspective as a creative member of the community, what your experience has been like at Industry Night. How many have you been to?
I think I've only been to, honestly, like 1 or 2 right now. I wanted to hit more.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So in Industry Night
please explain.
Something that Studio Lab does every month on the first Thursday of the month. And it is just an open invite to area creatives. Sometimes there's students, that are in film programs, or we have recording studios, so it's musicians, future sound engineers. Sometimes it's established directors, DP writers who either live in northern Mass, like in Methuen, Lowell, and they come up over the border, or it's very New Hampshire centric. But basically, it's opening the doors to the full community. And we usually have something cool going on in Studio A. Sometimes we've got some cool stuff going on in Studio B at the same time. And during the warmer months, we have an outdoor space called Fire and Gin, which is just mind blowing. It's 3 working fire engines. It's really cool string lights. We get the grills going. We've got like 2 bespoke smokers and grills out there. It's just crazy. And we sit around the bonfire and, hey, I'm Ken. I'm Jimmy. I'm da 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 da. And it's like soft networking. Like it's not like speed dating
Yeah.
networking. It's hey, cool, thanks. Like maybe you guys have nothing in common now, but maybe after a few more encounters, oh, I met this cool musician at industry night. He gave me his card. I've got to come up with an original piece, but I can't afford a big original music company in New York or whatever. I'll give him a call. So it's like it's that's sort of like soft networking, but more community based. And when I say community, it's not just regional; it's community, creative community.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool thing, and I know that there's no other creative studio in the New England region that is doing that on a regular basis like Studio Lab is, and it's So what was your interpretation? Well, first of all, how did you hear about the industry night, and how did you? What was your experience once you came here?
I think I had initially heard of it through, I think maybe it must have been another filmmaker who I had followed. I saw like on his Instagram stories, he must have reshared, a post for like industry night or something. I was like, oh, I should check that out because I love networking. Everything you've said, I love, that sort of soft networking approach, going to people, meeting people, shaking their hands, getting to know their stories, what they do. And I think that's how I initially heard of it. And I came here, and at that, to be honest, I didn't even know what Studio Lab was at that point. I just like, oh, let me check out this cool event. And I saw like what we're all about here. And then I see this amazing virtual set, and I wouldn't have thought like a year later I'd be doing a podcast here. So this is pretty awesome. Which
sometimes dreams come true, Mark.
I'm truly. I will make a side note too. I'm truly humbled by that, because I mean, it's like there's one podcast in particular where he does a lot of virtual sets, and I watch that and be like, oh, that's if only someday that'd be so cool. And here we are. So dreams do come true.
We've seen that, but he builds in tracking. Yeah. He's got a surface and an environment, and everything is integrated. Yeah. We would love to do that too. We just didn't have time.
Yeah, no, this is this is amazing.
And we were shooting a big job on Monday and Tuesday of this week.
Oh yeah.
So we just didn't have the time.
That's okay. I will take. This is amazing.
But it's a goal. It's an aspiration.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's
go
cool.
bigger and better.
Absolutely, 100%. But I mean, yeah, it's that's how I initially heard of you in Studio Lab, and
did you hobnob with some like-minded folks? Okay, cool.
It was great because there was a mix. There were some people I already knew, so it made it seem a little less, I shouldn't say less pressure, because I'm an extrovert, but I mean, there's some people I knew, there's some people I didn't, and I met all different types. I met an actor, I met, I think, a producer, I met another DP, I met somebody at a marketing agency, I believe. It was a really cool mix, and I think that's so cool because this can be such a cutthroat industry, and like you said, that soft networking approach to just kind of like, take the weight off, and it's just, you don't need to talk about this big project you're doing or like, what gear you have. We're just hanging out. We're just having burgers and dogs and having fun. It's all right. And if something comes out of it, that's amazing. And that's usually what happens at these things, I think. So it's great.
I love when the students come up and, they're seeing the volume for the first time after just watching, behind the scenes for, Westworld and Three Body Problem and Mandalorian. Yeah. And to see it here. And that it's not a bunch of nerds walking around in lab coats, It's just, regular guys like they are. It's like looking in the mirror. Yeah. Like, I can do this. Yeah. I can do this, and just being inspired to perhaps make that their concentration at school. Or sometimes we get high schoolers up here, that are involved in the video programs at their high schools, who are shopping for schools and considering majors and programs and seeing this and knowing this virtual production extended reality XR is the wave of the future, and going to replace green screen is just going to get bigger and better. They start looking at schools that have virtual production programs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I really like this school, but after being at Studio Lab, I want to go to a school that's has a volume that's teaching the technology, that has the artists, that has the tech, the wall where I can actually start making things on my own.
Right.
And then doing it,
Yeah.
And it all started here, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
That is really cool. And I think that's important, especially for younger people, to actually go in and see that. It's kind of like a nice
Yeah.
ride-along type of thing,
Yeah. And that industry veterans at Industry Night that are Studio Lab employees or associates or partners are taking the time to explain how the technology works and, show them work examples and, you're in high school, but you're still part of the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got a bright future, and we hope to see you back after you graduate. Right. So, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. So
that's really cool. Well, you even had some people that started out as like students, interns here. Now they're,
yeah.
I mean, you got Blake here working full time,
Blake was an intern. He was at SCAD. One of his projects was this very cool kind of a teaser for The Last of Us, where he built this amazing virtual set, a zombie apocalypse with the whole studio was just filled with dirt and rocks and scrub, and it was pretty amazing. Wow. We were really lucky to get him after he graduated, and nice. he's built most of our worlds in Unreal Engine for the commercials and corporate videos that we've shot here in the last year. Just really, really good stuff. Most of our new reel has environments that were built by Blake.
Nice.
So yeah,
very good.
A success story.
100%. Well, on that note, because you gave me basically a mini biography here. I love this.
Just a few notes, Mark.
I love it. No, this is amazing because I wanna know your story and kind of and how you from, I guess it can go back as far as like childhood, however you think like relevant, like how you got involved in production and everything we were talking about earlier, from all the amazing, you have so much insight, you have so much knowledge, so much wisdom, and I really admire that about you.
Thank you.
I want to know where that comes from. So yeah, tell me about, I guess we could start maybe when you were back up in Maine and, in childhood, like where this all began, I guess. Yeah.
So we moved around a lot. My dad was a salesman for Scott Paper, and we moved up and down the East Coast like every 3 years. And no matter where we were, we always drove down, say Syracuse. We were in Syracuse for 4 years. We'd drive down to Cape Cod and take a week-long vacation down the street from where my grandparents were. So how do you kill 6 hours in the car? I had my dad's old briefcase, and I kept some really nice paper in there and pencils and pens, and I would just draw using the surface of the briefcase as my writing surface, drawing surface. And next thing I knew it, we were pulling into the driveway at the vacation house, and I had like a really cool war scene with every frame of that paper filled with some sort of action that almost looked like an abstract until you looked at it and like, oh my gosh, every frame is filled with guns and explosions and howitzers and so I started drawing, and then one Christmas, I think I was maybe 12. I wanted to see how far I could push my dad into his. I was very spoiled. Whatever I asked for, I pretty much got. So it was almost like a dare. I saw an SLR camera outfit in the Sears catalog, holiday catalog. It was like $700, and I dared my dad to buy that for me. I said, "That's what I want."
Nice.
And he did it. And now I was compelled to use it. I had no, I just wanted to see if he would do it, and he did it. It's like, oh shoot, now I got to use it. So, started shooting some cool long exposures around my neighborhood, painting with light, doing cool things with like sparklers, and then doing, moving into some color studies and black and white studies, and but I was always more interested in video. So, my dad would rent me like a very rudimentary, very early VHS camcorder. And I just liked the immediacy of that, and a lot of friends in the neighborhood, a lot of big family, my brothers, sisters, they were all actors in these little skits that I would film, and that set the seed, if you will, for what I wanted to do eventually as an adult. So started as a photographer, moved to Boston. Got bored with it very quickly because we were doing commercial work, tabletops, portraiture, weddings, the things you could make money at as a photographer right away. But it wasn't that artsy stuff that I actually liked and loved. So I eventually migrated out of photography and screwed around for a couple of years up in Portsmouth, working retail. Decided I'd go back to Boston. Go to UMass on my own dime, get a few credits, transfer them to Emerson, and study film and TV. I had a lucky encounter with a woman who, at a jewelry store I worked at, same jewelry store I bought the Rolex from, who we struck up a relationship. And one day she was in the store, and she said, do you work here full time? I said, no, I'm going to school. She said, what are you going to school for? And I lied, actually, I didn't lie yet, but I lied eventually. I said, film and television. She's like, oh my God. She perked up. She's like, you know how to make videos? And this is where I lied. And I said, yeah. And she's like, oh my God, I work for a publishing company. We're introducing this kindergarten through sixth grade reading program. What makes us special is we're going to do a interactive component with video. So if we're talking about a particular author or New Orleans jazz or the Battle of Gettysburg, we're going to film those components, so there's a visual component that the teachers can play to tie in the education and the programming. Yeah. We have $600,000. Wow. Will you help us? Will you come on as like a paid intern for the summer, meet with full service production companies, pitch the job, and kick off the project? It's like 23, and I had $600,000. It was Silverbread and Ginn. It was a division of Simon and Schuster. Oh, man. And they would send the company town car to my triple decker in Dorchester, and I would go meet with all these production companies and pitch them on the job, and got wined and dined, and center court tickets for the Celtics, and all these things at 23. And we picked a production company called Videocraft because they had the most novel idea, very, very documentary. And then we kicked off the project with like the first 8 videos, learned a lot on the job. And after the project was kicked off and we did the first phase, which was my responsibility, I started working right away as a PA, paid PA at the production company, and that was it. Wow. I dropped out of school. Like why? Why continue to go to school when I'm already working in the field that I would hope to get into after I graduated? Yeah. And that was the beginning. That was a lot of fun. Learned a lot on the job, more than I could in the classroom, but eventually that I started getting bored with production, and I wanted to produce. So I was working on friends' features and music videos on the weekends, and I acted more in the producer role. Like I had the relationships with the vendors. I was able to get discounts on the equipment. I was able to work out deals to work at Charles River Studio for the weekend for, half off. And I knew how to get the insurance, and I knew where to get it color graded. And, I deal with all that. Mm-hmm. That's what a producer does. Right. And, staying in Boston, staying in New England was very important. Friends and family around here, didn't want to go to New York, didn't want to go to LA. And I looked at basically the high water mark of production in Boston was advertising, and just worked the phones, cold calls, lucky breaks, and finally got into Arnold Worldwide right when they got the Volkswagen Drivers Wanted business, and got hired and worked on that account for 6 years, and Mullen on Royal Caribbean and JetBlue and MassMutual and Capital One for 11 years. Brief stint at Bose, brief stint at Fuse Ideas working on Bose Professional. Then Soundtrack as EP, and now Studio Lab as EP. So it's been a crazy ride, man. Yeah. But it's been a blast. I technically haven't done hard work. I've worked hard, but I haven't done hard work, and I've had a lot of fun. Yeah. And if you can combine the two, if you can be in a field that you love, and you work with creative people that you enjoy working with and collaborating every day, and you're getting paid for it, it's the best you can hope for. Yeah. So.
Man, I love that. That is a really cool story. I want to, there's a few things in there, but I love what you said just at wrapping that up of how, you didn't have to, you had fun and you didn't necessarily need to struggle. You even told me, before we were rolling, you were just like, I didn't really struggle, but that's really cool to hear, because I think I always had this idea in my mind that I had to go through something like that. And of course you need to persevere and you need to work hard. But
that you had to go through hard times and struggle.
Yeah.
To emerge.
Right. I felt like that was always what had to be the case. And so when I look at kind of and granted, I'm still building, what I do now, but I've been I'm really just having more fun than I am just burning out,
There you go. There you go.
And I'm is that wrong?
At 30 with your own company.
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly admirable. Yeah. And again, going back to the feature, you did it, and you have your own company. Mm-hmm. I was never brave enough to go out on my own. I've always worked at a company. I've always had them pay me and get my benefits through them. Yeah. I've never being an independent contractor is incredibly difficult and stressful. Yeah. But the time to do it and the time to build your biz. So like we were mentioning earlier, 10 years from now, you wouldn't have time to do this.
Yeah, exactly. I try and think about that.
Yeah. you'd be out meeting with clients, you'd be in post-production, and you'd have a staff.
Right.
And so you're off to a incredibly good start.
Thank you. I'm grateful for it. I really am. I give thanks to it every day.
Good.
And I do what you said though about going back to how you landed that $600K job over the summer for that history, that project, that reenactment thing, and you lied and said oh yeah, I work in production. Was there? Because you had already been working photography at that point. You've already had some experience, in the business. But was there an element of? When you said that? Did you?
I said it with 100% confidence.
Okay.
And it wasn't delusion.
Okay.
It's that was a goal that I had set for myself is being a video producer, and I knew I was going to get there. And so therefore, I was already doing it and knew that I could do it. Did I know how to do it from a practical sense, from a nuts and bolts, mechanical sense and process and workflow? No. But I knew that that's where I was going to be. And so when I told her that I can produce music, I can produce videos, it was the truth. Mm-hmm. I hadn't done it yet, but it was still the truth. There's a saying, I don't know how it came about, and I kind of have to attribute it to me because I've done searches and I haven't been able to find it.
Yeah.
But it's how do you know you can't do something if you don't know you can't do it? Like it's strategic ignorance.
Yeah.
Right? Or it's cocksure confidence. Well, I think they're one and the same, right? Like, how do you know you can't do something if you don't know you can't do it? I can do it. And you sell that, that confidence is part of your aura, right? And it's infectious. So, people that are considering you for a role that you're asking for with an incredibly thin resume,
Yeah.
but good connections, like, yeah, he can do it. It's almost like Jedi mind tricks, So, it's predestination. I'm doing this, and I'm not going to make concessions. I'm not going to settle. It's a single-minded journey. It's a single-minded quest, and when you're in that mode, I'm not in that mode anymore. You sacrifice a lot of things, particularly relationships, because all your time is spent working towards that goal.
Yes.
And family relationships, romantic relationships, often take a back seat. You can still have them, but that significant other and your family has to understand that you're going to get this done.
Yeah.
And nothing's going to get in your way. If you see an obstacle, roll right over it. Because you're going to get there. Because you're in your head, in your pre-visualization, if you will, you're already there.
Yeah.
So, I know that might come off as delusional.
No, I don't think so.
Or it may come off as, again, cocky. But I think if you have that mindset, there's no way you can fail.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you had any sort of hesitation about you not completing, not you and your team not being able to complete a feature film, it wouldn't get done.
Right.
It wouldn't get done. And I don't know, maybe you tell me. I mean, was there a time during the process, especially when you got the financing, you got the crew, you got the talent, where you said, if I take this next step, if we actually start shooting this, I'm committed. And I'm committed through post-production. I haven't even got there. I haven't even figured that part out yet.
Yeah.
Now's the time to retrench. But you didn't.
Yeah.
You just kept barreling forward, because you were going to get that done.
Yeah. No, there definitely were some thoughts like that. And I think what really helped was having a great partner that was, him and I are similar, but very, I think, like opposites in mind sometimes. Like, I like to be kind of fly by the seat of my pants. Like, what's the next idea? What's the next thing we're doing? And he's got an element of that too, but he is very much like, it's like, let's build this. Like he's built for himself an amazing web design company, and he's very much a systems guy. So he's all about thinking about how we're going to execute. And he was very much kind of, I think, like steering the ship in a lot of ways. He's just like, okay, so what's our plan today, tomorrow, the month ahead, So that definitely helped. And I feel like if I didn't have that sort of structure, I definitely would have had like things like that come up where like, oh God. And I shouldn't say there were doubts, but even then still, things like that come in your head. It's like, oh yeah, we are doing this. And it's like, we are, we're getting this location locked and we're doing this shoot. It's just, we're doing this. And there is a sort of element of, I wouldn't call it fear, but it is the unknowing. And we're just gotta get into it. And that's not to say I can't do it I couldn't have done it on my own, or anybody, but I think it's a lot more murkier waters if you're doing it on your own. You don't have the sort of the ride or die assurance from a good person. Yeah.
I think professional relationships, partnerships, which I've seen at the agency level when I'm working with a creative team. And, there's a writer associated, there's a art director associated, there's a designer associated. And they're a good team are polar opposites. You've got your big idea guy, and then you've got your creative but also grounded partner. And it's like a good romantic relationship. If you marry somebody in the same field with similar personality, it's doomed for failure. Opposites attract, and opposites sustain because you complement each other. Right. I've been married 31 years. And my woman. Okay, let's edit that one out.
Squeeze.
My lovely wife is very left brain, analytical, financial, and I'm very right brain. And we complement each other. And just like your partner in the motion picture. Actually, so what is the next step for that? That
sure.
Film? Are you in the festival circuit yet?
We are about to. We will. Right now, our goal is to put on as many local screenings as we can, just to get it seen. And then just entering into the festivals, and the end goal is to get it picked up by somebody somewhere, whether it's Netflix or Discovery, what have you. We're just trying to cast a wide net right now, so that's the goal, right where we're at.
Well, if you want to talk offline, we'd be open to having you do a screening here.
Okay.
Because look right? Just set up some folding seats and get surround sound, and basically it'd be like IMAX. Here.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that.
We're happy to do that because it supports the community.
Thank you. I 1,000% appreciate that, and we will. Yeah, let's talk.
Oh, and we have a popcorn maker.
Oh, amazing. That's more important.
Yes.
Amazing. Love that. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, that's I think that opposites attract thing is pretty. Have you noticed, so you got your lovely wife, and she's, like you said, the more analytical left hemisphere brained, and you're the right hemisphere brain, more creative. Have you had instances in the past where maybe you had a partnership or collaboration, what have you, and just didn't work, and because it was another guy like you, perhaps? I've had partnerships with certain creatives where it's been because of a complete black and white mindset, right? I rarely take things seriously. Why, right? But I work hard at what I do, and I try to keep all the projects that I work on in a light tone, levity. I'm more than happy to break tension on a conference call by cracking a joke or saying something a little offhand. Yeah. And that's just me. And I've worked with some creatives who hate that approach. Not dislike it, but hate it. Yeah. So in that regard, the non-fun people, who are a little bit more introspective. Straight-laced.
We just don't get along, and we'll never get along. Yeah. I've never. That's a very good question. I've never worked with somebody who is my clone, could be my identical twin that has the same personality, the same mindset, and there's been a clash. If anything, I'd rather work with people both on the production crew side and the creative side that share that lightheartedness. Like we're going to work hard and we're going to get this done, but we're going to collaborate. We're going to work as a team. We're going to work as a single entity, and we're going to have some fun. And that's the kind of atmosphere you want if you want productivity and you want something that the end product is something you're all going to be proud of.
Right.
You can watch a production and without knowing backgrounds, not being associated with it at all, you can sense projects, movies, streaming series, episodic, social, where there's just no joy,
Right.
and you can tell that there was tension.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of the creative, but you can just tell that this was a tough set to work on, right? You can also tell just based on performances, and your takeaway after watching the movie for 90 minutes or the show for a half hour, that the tone that was set on that production was lighthearted, and whether it was the director or producer or the actors, everybody was in the same mindset, and they had fun. Even if it was a serious drama, they had fun doing it. So everybody gave their best performances, because the atmosphere was welcoming. It's nature versus nurture.
Right.
Kids who grow up in a tense household, that's fighting. You can tell it affects their personality.
Right.
Even affects the pets.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing on a set. It's a family. We're all in this together. We're taking a vacation, but it's going to be a week long, and we're going to get paid for it. So, anyways.
I love that. That's so important to hear, because I think, and especially, I'm thinking about too, whenever I used to work like summer jobs and stuff, and maybe that's not the best example because you don't really want to be there. You're just trying to make ends meet, earn some cash. Production, you're obviously there to, of course you want to make ends meet, but you want to have an amazing experience. But even then, it's like, you've got to have some levity in the atmosphere. It's like, you don't necessarily have to be the best friend of that person, although usually that's kind of what happens. You do create a closer bond.
Yeah.
But you got to have some sort of positivity, add some humor to it, because that's what's all going to make it just feel more human. And in turn, as you're saying, the creativity, like, it'll come out in an environment like that. I feel like maybe some people can be put to the test like this, but I think like if you're in an environment where just like, whether you're being judged or people, you feel like you're under the gun, it's probably a lot harder to just feel liberated and create and do great at what you do.
When cast and crew are walking on eggshells, as not to irritate the DP or the director or, the militant executive producer, you're not going to get good performances from anybody.
Right.
But when everybody's working hard and having fun, work hard, play hard, that's when that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's not like putting on a show, like changing your personality once you get on set as a producer. It has to be innate, or it's forced and people can see through that. So, so what would you do here?
Oh, this is cool.
Right?
This is fun. I'm like feeling like I'm being interviewed now. I'm getting all the questions asked.
I'm just curious, right? It's a different perspective. So, like when you must have worked with a client who has a pie in the sky idea.
Yeah.
But you also have having worked with this client, you have an idea of what their usual spend is. In fact, just 6 months ago, you did a very similar project on a shoestring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But now you've been here, you know, and you've seen the work that we do.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you get a board that's ambitious, that has several locations, like now you can go back to the client. Actually, I'm going to stop talking and say, and like, you know, you relay a scenario and how you'd position it to clients, you know, now having been here and again, seeing our work, see the potential, see what's capable here at Studio Lab using extended reality. Like, how would you serve that up to the client after just having worked with them on a practical set?
Okay, yeah. So like the idea is, and they do ultimately, it's like we're past the point. It's like, yeah, they have the budget for like something like this and whatnot. Is that kind of like, okay? So I think like, I mean, in my view, I would say it's like, look, I mean, you know, depending on what the needs are, I mean, I think like just general, like from there, kind of like what you were saying earlier, like the perspective of kind of like, you know, putting yourself in their shoes, what their needs are. I mean, you know, it's like, it's a pretty like, because generally like, yeah, I do a lot of field work, a lot of, you know, the documentary style, you're on the field and a lot of things are out of your control. And, you know, in some cases, you know, it's whether it's even just dealing with, you know, bystander parties, what have you. And it's like, it's a opportunity, a position to be in. It's just like, this is the total opposite. We are in a controlled environment and we can create basically just like anything that like what you want and what like for your needs are. And perhaps collaborate on that. So maybe that's the idea is like, it's not only is it convenience, you know, cause it's like, forget like, you know, driving back and forth to like several locations. It's like, we'll create those locations here, you know? And let's collaborate on like what that looks like. And cause we've got a very resourceful team here that will take care of that. Does that answer your question? Does that help?
Kind of, but it actually, your answer brings up more questions.
Okay.
Right? Because if I'm the client,
Yeah.
and I just worked with you 6 months ago, and we did 3 scenes in 2 locations in a very long day, and me as a client, having just been through that, and other productions shot practically, like I understand that.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, we're in a town center park, you know, so there's benches and there's cars going by and there's trees and, you know, should take this long to shoot because we have natural light and, you know, a beautiful setting.
Yeah.
And now you're proposing virtual production on an LED volume, 2 things that I'm very unfamiliar with. I've not seen behind the scenes for Mandalorian and the Batman. Like, I don't know this. And I'd rather stick with what I know because that's what I'm comfortable with, even if it means making concessions on what we can shoot for the budget. So basically, I've just put you in the position that I'm in often when I'm trying to tout the efficiencies of XR to a client or an agency or a production company who are considering this for the first time. And it's not easy. You know, it's like going, you know, working with a veteran executive producer, creative team that we're used to shooting on 35 millimeter film.
Yeah, right.
And now there's, well, what? There's a digital camera called the Alexa that people are using now. Like, ooh, it's scary. You know, it's video. It's going to look like shiny. It's going to look like artifacts. It's not going to be, It's not going to have that grain of film. Let's keep shooting on film.
Yeah.
Let's keep shooting on location. So how do you convince somebody to make that jump? How would you convince somebody to make that jump?
Okay, yeah. This is interesting. I got to try and put my salesman cap on now too, so try and think of this. So,
yeah.
Well, as you were saying that, I was kind of thinking too about like, when you offer these like tours and demonstrations, I think like the best way is to like, show somebody that they're doing. Because what I've realized too, and I've gone to a few like trade shows like around the country trying to like, pitch any company on like on a brand on a really sick cinematic trailer, documentary style video. And I know in my mind what I'm seeing, what I envision. But even if I'm communicating that, I think in a pretty accurate and articulate way, they may still have a different perception of like what that is or what goes involved. And they're also thinking of maybe any other like insecurities or logistics, things like that. And it's not quite registering. So I think like the key is like show and telling somehow. And as far as like a tactical approach, I mean, whether it's like you do like a sort of like a quick mock like demo or whatever, or you could even do it as just in general for your own, like as a sort of like a template type of thing, and you showcase it to that client in that moment, and then you keep that and you use it for other clients that may have that concern as well. That's what I'm thinking as far as like what comes to mind right now for how I would handle it. How I would do something like that is, I think people, especially if they're used to that field-based way of shooting, doing things, like they would want to actually see how it works and see that it does work.
Well, your first example was fantastic. That being, look, instead of talking about it, let's go.
Yeah.
I know some people over there, they'd love to show it. Yeah. Seeing is literally believing when it comes to XR.
Yeah.
Right. So, but not everybody can do that.
Right.
So then, what else? What's motivating everybody involved in the film and television business, advertising, in-house agencies, direct to consumer? What's the main motivator right now? Money.
Yeah.
Right? Budgets. In times of uncertainty, like unfortunately we're going through now, everybody reins back, right? So budgets pre-current administration were already going down, and now with uncertainty, everybody hates uncertainty. Budgets are flat or even decreasing, right? Like that's where XR comes in, and that's a pitch that resonates with clients, is that because 85% of your set, 85% of your location is on a 65-foot long, almost 15-foot high 8K video wall with incredibly realistic interior and exterior environments. And your art line goes down because the only practical props you need are in the foreground. If you're in a living room, it's this, with a throw rug and a table lamp.
Yeah.
So you need less crew because you're only lighting this tiny little section.
Right.
85% of the location, anything that needs to be changed is changed by the Unreal Engine artist.
Yeah.
Right? You're not dispatching an army of grips to go gel windows. Right? It's a keystroke or it's a mouse click. And what you needed changed in the bulk of the environment has changed.
Yeah.
So less crew, savings, less lighting, because you're not lighting every nook and cranny of this living room. You're only lighting here.
Yeah.
Right. So all these savings, and you're able to get more done in a day than you were if you were on location shooting multiple locations, because that could be a 2-day shoot depending on where the locations are.
Right.
You have a 1-day budget, but you need 4 locations you need to shoot.
Exactly.
Oh, really? Show them the reel. Show them some other work samples that could be custom tailored to your production and what the client needs. It's like, this looks amazing. This wasn't shot on location. Like, yeah, let's go. I've seen the light, and I know this is the way things are going to work. In the future, may as well embrace it now.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
I remember being a film guy, both stills and then motion. Everything was on the RE35, at the agencies when I was working on Volkswagen and Mass Mutual and JetBlue. Then I was a snob. Like, it's got to be shot on film, and I knew what the film workflow was like. I knew how much time it would take to get the film, to Technicolor, and then back and loaded in the Avid, and how long it was going to take for the color grade, and then how much time I was going to need in flame to clean up the dust and dirt that was going to be an artifact and something you're used to shooting on film. And I was at Mullen. I just started at Mullen, and we had a project for 1-800-Flowers for Mother's Day, like basically their Christmas. And we had a concept that the clients agreed on that had to be elevated to multiple departments and stakeholders at 1-800-Flowers. And it got hung up. Creative got hung up by almost 2 weeks. So we're already 2 weeks off a schedule because the client hasn't approved the concept. Yet the air date is not changing. Jeez. Mother's Day is not pushing. So everybody's, tense and nervous, and the account people are calling the client constantly and, getting no answer and da-da-da-da-da. Finally, the concept's approved. Now I'm 2 weeks behind. So what am I going to do? So the director on the production company side said, look, I've been shooting on the RE Alexa. I'm like, video. Ew, gross. He's like, it looks great. And we're able to dial in, color changes in the camera. It's 1-to-1 once the editor gets this, it's not going out to the bath. You're not dealing with cleanup. It looks great, and it's going to look great for this particular concept, given our high contrast that we're shooting for. Fine, hold my nose. We'll shoot on video, and it looked great.
Wow.
It looked great, and it looked great when we got into post, and we never shot on film again.
Wow.
But.
Wow.
That's something that we have to contend with this technology. Is just people have been in the business for 20 years and are used to the workflow of what it is to shoot on location or to build a set on a big sound stage. And getting them to flip over to this workflow, which is about the same time. Our timeline from concept approval to production is almost the same, if not a little bit quicker than going out and scouting a location, sending another art team out to get the props and those reviews and those changes. What's nice about virtual production when we're reviewing the locations, yes, we're not reviewing still photos. We're reviewing a 3D representation of their set built at 180 degrees that's screen shared by the artist, highly detailed. And if the client wants to change the blinds to curtains, we can do it right on the call. If the client wants to take the walnut wainscoting in this room and change it to like a neutral white, we do it right on the call. And we have walked away at the agency presentation of locking up the location on the first round, even though we had baked in 2 rounds, because everything's done right on the call. So that's efficient. It's a great way to work, and I've been here almost 3 years. 3 years, December 11th, and we've done 24, 25 different productions in that period, and every client, every agency client, production company, personnel, and then the end use client, the marketer, have had just amazing experiences here. And 9 times out of 10 at lunch or at wrap, they'll show us preliminary boards and say, "What do you think? Can we do that? Can we do this here?" Yeah. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's a creative playground.
Wow.
It's a brand new box of crayons for creative teams. It's very exciting.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, there's a lot in there, I think, and I'm noticing kind of, I guess, like the parallels from like where you're describing you're at the agency and you're noticing the shift from film to digital and just how it just has solved like a lot of problems as now with virtual as opposed to all these different, field locations and what have you. It's very interesting. It's how, like, I wonder if it's like, do you think people are not necessarily, maybe not all of them, but maybe won't be as open to those sorts of changes until they're like, oh, we need this now? Or,
like the 1-800-Flowers?
Yeah,
like a moment of desperation.
Right, yeah.
Well, short answer, yes. Right? Like the only way we're going to get this done is if we do it here. And not by that statement, I that could be interpreted 2 ways. Like, I guess we have to work in XR. Knowing deep down that people want to.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like what's happening with AI right now.
Yeah.
There may be writers and art directors and designers, certainly storyboard artists, who are holding their nose at anything AI related, because there's this constant drumbeat of, it's going to get so efficient that you just can't tell, and it's going to end up replacing this job and that job and diddly do, unless you embrace it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't complain about it. Embrace it. Work with it. If AI is going to be the future, dabble in it. Become competent in it, and you won't have that, oh my God, robots are going to replace me anxiety. Right? Yeah. This is the future. What we're looking at is the future of filmmaking, and it's here already. And it's going to replace green screen. Yeah. Because, if I had, well, here we go. I'm going to a little bit of this left.
Yeah, it's a little green texture. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is. I'm having this drink in this outdoor environment.
Right. Yeah.
Because the environment is bleeding through this clear cup.
Yeah.
Right? If I turn this way and I had a camera over here, I'd be getting this reflection in my glasses. If it was green screen, you'd have to shoot without lenses, or you'd be doing a hell of a lot of cleanup when you're doing the compositing.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, one thing I would like to say, and camera can't see it, but you can see it. This studio is like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Right? So we've got the wall, we've got the volume, and that is the hallmark of this particular stage. But we have green screen that is on the far wall and the full length of the left-hand wall. So what that allows us to do, based on the boards, based on the budget, is use the built-in camera tracking in the Kira and Unreal Engine, shoot the talent against green screen, track their move with the Kira, and then composite the Unreal scene in post, and the camera tracking data is already built in. Oh, wow. So the and now they're working in an incredibly immersive. The talent is walking in an incredibly immersive environment, but you haven't built out a full set like you'd have to do, here.
Yeah.
So we have a test that we did with Greg Farnham, who's a director, DP, and Kira Op partner of ours from Swevin Visual Engineering, where he starts out on a little chunk of green screen that's on the wall, and then we get a plate of green screen here, and we built a Unreal Engine environment. It's like a cathedral, a medieval cathedral with marble floors and marble columns and flames instead of electric lighting. And once it's composited, it looks like Greg is eating corn nuts walking through this 14th century medieval cathedral, and it looks real. I mean, the shadows there, everything's there. We have a lot of tools at our disposal. We have 2 robots. We have 2 walls. We have in Studio B right next to us, we have a 20-foot long, 12-foot high flat wall, which is fantastic for tabletops, product photography, spokespeople against an animated background. It's just, and we have a Studio C, which is just your traditional insert stage with a hard white cyc, where what's good about that is we can double up on all the deliverables that the client needs for that particular job. Like they need to be shooting actors here. They once the actors are done here, they need to go into another studio to be photographed. So we're able to do both at the same time instead of 2 separate days and 2 separate facilities, which is incredibly efficient. We can do audio recording. We can do audio mixing here. We have a beautiful Blackmagic post-production suite with all the creature comforts that clients expect when they're at boutique shops in New York and Boston and LA. It's right here. We can do everything soup to nuts, which is a great advantage to have and a great resource for those in the know. So. And hopefully, this podcast introduces more creators to what is capable here.
I hope so.
We've talked about it a ton.
Yeah, we sure have, man.
Is there anything that you have thought of? Not just in the virtual space, but just the industry as a whole. Since you're involved in it, and at the tender age of 30, you're going to be involved in it for another 35 years.
Yeah.
Like what's in store for you, given the pace of technology and unfortunately the cap that's put on budgets.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too, because I'm curious, because I feel like I kind of entered into this right around where that change was sort of happening. I mean, probably right around then. Yeah, so like COVID, I was building my portfolio, and I was just really working with at the behest of small businesses, not really working with like the agency type of budget. Maybe now so, but what I'm noticing is. Just it kind of echoes of things you've already said, but this trend, call it what you will, this change rather to minimize a lot of gear, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
It could take, with the right tools now, what would have been a 5-person job, like even 10 years ago now, could be a 1-person job. And I'm getting forget my views. I want to hear your views, your stances on not stance, but what you interpret, because I'm curious to where is this budget cap come from, really? How did this start? Is it as a result from the pandemic? Is it just general change in the country, or technology? What's that coming from?
So first off, because this is video. I don't really need glasses. I wear them to look thoughtful. You know,
Yeah?
now I'm pondering your question.
Okay.
And I'm going to use them to make salient points like this.
Love it.
Let me give you an example. So I was fortunate enough to be on the esteemed, renowned, award-winning Volkswagen Drivers Wanted campaign and account at Arnold Worldwide. 2099 to 2006, thereabouts. Basically, for as long as we had the business. And their commercials, the 30-second spots, you know, over $1 million. Sometimes much more, you know, depending on whether they needed a license electric light orchestra, you know, for a New Beetle convertible. Like, that was a very expensive commercial. And I was working more on the digital team on the VW.com website. And the client, who's used to spending $1 million plus for the 30-second spots, wanted to do a really cool piece that would just live with one of the first digital videos that would be embedded into as like a lifestyle video that would be embedded into the website for a car manufacturer. And so, it's just going on the website. So even though they're paying, you know, over $1 million for a 30-second spot, and this is a 60, it's twice as long. It's still going to require a concept. It's still going to require talent. It's still going to require production. It's still going to require post-production. But because in their head it was just going to live on the website, we've got $240,000.
I see.
And nowadays, 240, it's like, whoo!
Yeah.
We got a budget,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
But back then, let's call it 2004, 2005. It's like, oh, geez, how are we going to get it done?
Yeah.
I looked at it at the time because it was a really cool concept, and I was excited to work on it, and I knew we could get it done. Mm-hmm. I pulled in favors. You know, so maybe I worked with a production company. Well, I did work with a production company that we did 4 million plus jobs that year. And so now, like, look, you know, I've got, it's a cool concept. Would love to work with you. Do you have a director you just brought on that needs something cool for their reel? And, you know, can we you know, get this done for X amount? Same thing with the post-production company. Same thing with, you know, the music. Same thing with the colorist. You know, like, I need a solid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm cashing in some chips, I'm cashing in some favors,
Mm-hmm.
and we got it done. And it came out great.
Mm.
And every Tuesday we would have a company meeting for all the producers that were in the office at the time, and we'd show new work and give kind of an overview. I was very proud to show this. And, you know, the head of the group said, "This was low budget, right?" And it's like, "Yeah." It's like, "What was your budget?" It's like, "I got it done. We got it done for $240." And he talked to me afterwards, and he's like, "You realize what you've done?"
Mm-hmm.
It's like, "Yeah, I was resourceful. I pulled some favors, and we got it. We got a very cool spot done for, you know, a shoestring." He's like, "You can't go back now.
Mm.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Mm.
Like, this is what the client's going to expect when there's a digital video.
Mm.
Because you did that for $240. Like, if anything, your budget's going to start going down."
Wow.
Like, ugh, shit, I guess you're right. You know? But it was good because, indeed, I mean, I think, you know, we still did some million plus jobs, and
Mm-hmm.
that even continued into Mullen, you
Yeah.
know. But then the writing was on the wall for trying to get projects done for $300,000, then $275, then $250, then $225. So it was good to have gone through that exercise early. And I just navigated it by finding other production partners, who had lower overhead and had a different creative fee, director fee structure that worked locally, that worked non-union.
Yeah.
Other creative ways to navigate high concept and high production value with modest budget. And that's what we're doing here,
Yeah.
right? We're allowing creative teams, maybe even younger creative teams that have just heard tell of $1 million budgets, for senior producers, executive producers who work with them. Like, oh, that'd be so great. And you stayed at Shutters on the Beach and the Del Mar, and you ate at Sushi Roku and saw the Wilson Brothers, and like all those great stories. That they're not really getting now because they're forced to shoot, regionally, if you will.
Yeah.
But with this technology, at Studio Lab and virtual production, extended reality, generative AI, it allows, at least creatively, those junior producers coming up who are saddled with high creative but modest budgets to be able to shoot multiple locations like it was 2006.
Yeah, right.
And end up with something great on their reel that the clients are happy with, and the clients end up applauding the agency for being so resourceful and considering this new wave of visual imaging at Studio Lab, and
Yeah.
And start thinking about the next project. Like, what else can we do?
Right.
If it's a retail store, having done overnight shoots at, say, Stop and Shop, where they have to close down the store, and production happens from 9 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, right before doors open.
Yeah.
And nobody likes doing that.
Right.
Nobody. Crew doesn't like doing that. Talent doesn't like doing that. The client doesn't like doing that. The manager of the store, who has to pay people OT to be there overnight, nobody likes it. But what if you could build the store digitally and shoot from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
and
nice.
be able to change the store signage when new logos come out or new specials come out, without having anything printed, without having to inconvenience anybody.
Yeah.
And it looks like you're there, and you own that world, and you can shoot it again whenever you want. That's incredibly attractive.
Yeah. Very.
And again, having worked on Stop and Shop and having done that, if I had the option of, building a store digitally and having some physical props that are from the store and shooting during daylight hours, I'm all over that.
Right.
I'm sure the client would be too. So, that's another avenue, another client base that we're trying to attract.
Yeah.
Because it ends up being a convenience, Everybody wins. So,
Love that.
yeah.
That's wonderful. That's really cool. Yeah. It's basically, it's like, like to time that into like our notes earlier of like where the industry is going. I guess it's like, there's the budget aspect, but I think it's just kind of easement is becoming more of a theme, right? Like just, like you said, it's like, maybe we won't have to shoot overnight. It can be like during the day, and we can build this however we want, whether, it has to be in the middle of the night, what have you. I don't care if it has to be in outer space, whatever it is. Seems like that's kind of going to be the direction for a while.
It's funny you mentioned that. When the rare periods where it's slow, usually around the holidays and sometimes during the summer when everybody's on vacation, we've got a short list of specs that we want to do. So the one we did in August when we were between projects was running footage or car process footage. So brought in a Kia Telluride. We have access to a library of running footage plates, and we had an account person, woman from here, Studio Lab, jump in as the talent, and it looked like she was driving down a country road and a city street, because that wraparound of the studio was visible outside the windows. It was visible when we had the camera outside, because the reflections from the environment were on the glossy paint and the windshields. And it looked amazing, and it opened up a new avenue of business for us, of clients who automatically would discount including car process footage because of the expense. Camera cars, Russian arms, hotheads, details, closed roads, precision drivers, the whole 9 yards, and the liability of having children in the car. No, we can't do that. Now they can do it. Now they can include car process, driving footage, running footage back in their concepts, because you're not worried about weather. You're not worried about safety because the car's not moving. It's just the background. And we want to do a spacewalk.
Nice.
Like we've had 3 requests. We've got a set of 3 boards that included an astronaut, like working on the International Space Station. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to rent an astronaut costume and do some rigging and build a plate environment. I think that may lend itself well to the set extension with the green screen and the camera tracking data, camera positional data that we were mentioning, and offer that as a service.
Nice.
Just shows that we're not just able to make incredibly realistic interiors and exteriors. We're able to push that realm into the fantastical. Pretty much whatever you can think, there's a very high percentage that we're going to be able to make it work using the technology and the talent that's here. We haven't talked about that. As you can imagine, just looking around and seeing the expanse of this 8K wall, and just imagining how much that wall costs, how much the software costs, how much the Kira, cost to bring in and have it, offered to our clients. It's a sizable investment.
Yeah.
And anybody who is that liquid can decide that they can go into an existing space or build a new space and build a LED volume studio. Problem is, you need people who know how to build the worlds, who know how to troubleshoot the worlds. You need people who know how to light for those worlds, how to blend seamlessly the practical and the virtual, so it completely fools the eye.
Yeah.
If you don't have the human element, all you have is a really big TV, and you may as well just invite friends over and, watch The Matrix or, watch the Patriots game.
Yeah.
You need the people.
And
And you need the right people, because they need to collaborate. They can't be too wonky. They can't be too much like with blinders with the technology. Like they need to be that perfect meld of right brain, left brain, and sociable and collaborative.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find.
How do you select for that?
it's that's difficult to answer, right? Because we don't have a human resources department.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. It's still a relatively small company. So I credit the owners and the leadership team here because they can look at a resume, meet the person, and know right away whether they're going to be a good fit or not. It's almost like a gut instinct. Like that's how hiring happens here. It's not, it's not a huge process. It's gut, it's instinct.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they do it, but they've landed on some amazing people who are hardworking, dedicated, talented, and who get along with each other and get along with the clients.
Yeah.
And it's getting all of that is like finding a unicorn. And we've got a lot of damn unicorns kicking around here at Studio Lab and Events United. So we're very lucky, but it's also by design. So, yeah, I love it here.
Yeah.
And they've, most of the folks up here are from New Hampshire. I'm one of the only ones from the greater Boston area. And they've embraced me as one of their own, even though I'm a masshole. So
that's great.
Yeah. So no, it's a cool place, and I definitely want folks in your audience and network to reach out. Go to the website, studiolab.one, ONE, and there's a lot of great case studies there. Our reels there. It's a huge exposure to the facilities and the overview and the people, and then for a visit, for a tour, happy to do it. Again, that makes the biggest impact. Like, oh, I get it now. And we're happy to do that. Just reach out to me. My email and my contact information is on the website, and I really hope that your audience learned a lot. And I'm sorry if at times I felt like I was interviewing you.
No, I think that's cool.
It's a force of habit.
I like that. I love that you are asking questions a lot. I like that in people. Like
yeah, man, but it's your show.
Yeah.
Cool. It's not the Ken Kingdon show.
Yeah,
it's the Mark Aiello show.
Yeah. Well, that's okay though. I mean, I think I love when somebody like that, when I get that energy from you and you're curious about people, and that I think reflects a lot in your work. I mean, and everything you just described about how rigorous it must have been to put this all together and all the effort it took and to get the right people and everything. And I think anybody listening will get a lot of value, a lot of lessons out of this. And like I said, you're just so full of wisdom, and it's really inspirational, just like listening to you speak. And
thank you.
Yeah, I think like we were talking about and just changes in the industry in general, and sort of advice for young. I guess I would want to know what would you. I guess it could be filmmakers, anybody young who's trying to start a creative endeavor, or even people that are in the middle of it like I am. What's some advice you would give for them?
I think it goes back to one of our earlier statements, the quote that I think I came up with. Everything you want, if you're an ambitious person, just a human being in general, everything you want is on the other side of fear. If you possess any self-doubt, if you have any sort of apprehension that you're not going to fulfill your objective, then you're not going to. Henry Ford has a quote. If you know you can do a thing, and if you know you can't do a thing, you're both right. Right? So know that you can do the thing. And not out of delusion. Just, this is what you want. This is what you're going to accomplish. Nothing is going to get in your way. And it may take a while, because anything that's worthwhile isn't handed to you. And a career goal is not a sprint, it's a marathon. But if you have convinced yourself and projected yourself 4 years down the road in that role, then you're going to do everything you can to get there. And when you're in that role, it will feel so familiar because you've already projected yourself into that role, and now you're embodying it. It's like that person is like a shell, if you will, just waiting for you to come in to fill it and start kicking ass and taking numbers. And it may sound delusional, but it's not. And it's the other thing that is incredibly helpful, I've found anyways, is, and I think, we started off by talking about like chip on your shoulder and something to prove. Is if you have somebody, in my case it was my dad, who just knew that I wouldn't be like an accountant or a data entry guy. Like, he knew that I was going to go into a creative field, and he did everything he could to enable me to go into a creative field. Both the cameras and art supplies, but also just the encouragement. Like, he never told me no. Dad, I want to be a photographer. Okay, I think you'll be a great one. Like, Dad, I want to be a film and TV producer. All right, you're gonna be so good, and I can't help you. I don't know anybody in the business, but if that's what you want to be, you're gonna do it. And I think you'll be great. Like, having somebody like that in your life, or having a mentor, who sees something special in you. We all stand on the shoulders of giants, right? We can only do so much by ourselves. We need somebody to believe in us and give us a chance. Whether it's an employer at a company, whether it's a client who you just met. But I like the cut of this kid's jib. This Mark Aiello, he's all right. I'm going to do some business with him. I've never done business with him before, but I like him. That's what starts the level of success. And success begets success. Can sometimes grow out of control, if you have to feed your ego. But once you get that first taste of it, it's like a drug. You want more. You never want to give it up. And I think a lot of it has to do with the individual. I think a lot of it has to do with the environment. And I think a lot of it has to do with luck, being in the right place at the right time. But none of that happens if you're sitting in your basement playing PlayStation 4 or 5. I don't know what they're up to now. And just talking about it.
Right.
You got to get out. You got to get out and meet people and commit. Success doesn't come to you. You go to it. So a lot of these quotes aren't attributed to me. I just want to say that.
That's okay.
There's a lot of things I'm just recapping. Like everything you want is on the other side of fear. was from, I saw that first in the movie Atomic Blonde
Okay.
with Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
It was like one of the earlier club scenes.
Yeah.
And it was on a neon sign in the back. I'm like, oh, that's good. I'm going to start using that. So, anyways.
One of my favorite quotes from Gladiator: "What we do in life echoes in eternity."
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good one, too.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I apologize to the listening audience if this has been nothing but a quote fest,
Hey.
but they've been goddamn good quotes.
They are good quotes.
You know? So,
Absolutely.
well, cool, man. It's been great
Yeah.
to talk to you.
Yeah,
and
you too.
Great to be introduced to your audience and your listeners. And
Likewise.
I'm honored that you reached out to me, you know, for this interview, and I'm glad it worked out that we were able to do it here.
Yeah. No, I say all the same things back to you. I mean, thank you for having me here and putting this together for me here, and everything that you do. I mean, it's been just wonderful getting to know you and your story, and that we've been getting to know each other since I think the summer, or maybe sooner than that, but still, I mean, and just everything from just giving me your wisdom, your guidance, your advice, and sharing this, like you said, with my listeners, but also, thank you for vice versa, that something that your audience can see too, So it's all in all, this is great, and really appreciate everything, Ken. You're an inspiration. Thank you so much. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
This is wonderful. Any other last plugs? Anything you want to talk about? Anything promote, whatnot?
You hear that? That's my stomach.
I didn't hear that.
So
Just called
it's
yourself out.
gonna pick up on the mic.
It might not actually.
No, now my stomach is taken over.
Oh yeah, it's getting lunchtime.
So all of my wisdom and creativity and words of advice have been taken over by the level of hunger that I'm going through currently.
Hey man, we're all human.
No, I think we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And I just hope your listeners, especially the younger listeners, are inspired to follow their passion.
Yeah.
Not let anything get in their way. Don't take no for an answer. Just be a bull and plow through until you get to where you want to be.
Love that.
And never settle.
Love that.
Too many people do that.
Yeah.
And then they're stuck. And now they're just watching the clock till they're 65 and can retire, but they're not motivated to go in to work every day.
Mm-hmm.
In this field, and I think you can attest to it, is the best of both worlds because you're having fun.
Yeah.
And instead of setting the clock for 65 so you can retire, when you're approaching 65, you want to keep going.
Yeah. Right.
You don't want to retire. You're having too much fun.
Yeah. Right.
I love talking to younger people like yourself, and I get energized by your energy.
Oh, thank
it's
you.
a little bit of a vampire thing, I feed off of your enthusiasm and
Thank you.
I'm very interested to chart your progress. I know we mentioned the 10-year mark.
Yeah,
when you're 40 and a CEO and you have multiple offices and
That's
office
cool.
in Melbourne and Paris.
Thank you.
And I can say I knew Mark Aiello, and he was a 30-year-old kid wearing a
Oh,
leather
man.
jacket. Now look at him; he's wearing a 3-piece suit and wingtips. Good for you. Good for you, kid.
I'm so flattered. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You want to park your Mercedes? Oh, yeah, no, you have a special spot for you. So, anyways.
Oh man, well, thank you so much. I'm flattered.
Hopefully
someday. Yeah.
It's pre-visualized. It's predestined.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's how you got to approach it. Yeah. People want to find you. Where should they find you? Any links, things like that? Studiolab.one.
Studiolab.one, ken.kingdon at studiolab.one, and that's ONE versus the number. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram under Kingdon_com, COMM. So I post there a lot, and I try to post with a great deal of regularity. And there's a lot of tasty BTS, like making of, like how the sausage is made, then the resultant spot, which is really cool. Because we're at the point, like if I just show the spot, it's nothing special about it. It's like, oh, you shot in a subway, you shot in a cafe, you shot in an office, big deal.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But showing the fact that what you're looking at, 85% of it is on a big ass television screen, that's when it makes a huge impact. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It also makes you question everything.
Yeah.
Like I just watched Predator Badlands.
Oh, yeah.
Really
Yeah.
good.
I still gotta
But
watch it.
I was watching it like, like that's CG, that's green screen, that's location, that's soundstage, that's probably XR. You know, you're looking at it, and if the true magic of any sort of visual is the audience is completely bought in on where this character is. And they're not thinking like I do because I'm in the business of like how'd they do that? Like, yeah, that may be on location, but where? You know, that's another planet. You totally believe it. And that's where we are now with our technology. You know, between the talent, the software upgrades to Unreal Engine, the advance of generative AI.
Yeah.
You know, we've whatever the uncanny valley equivalent of location and believing what's real and what's not, we're there now. So where are we going to be 2 years from now?
Yeah.
You know, it's very exciting.
Yeah. I don't mean to drag us on, but that isn't another point of like AI of like how do you look at that? Because I know a lot of people, they're very scared of AI, very afraid of like where that's going to lead us. Others are very, behind it. And I'm kind of somewhere in between. I think AI should be, it can be a very powerful tool, and I've already implemented it in some of my processes and what I do. Although at the end of the day, I don't think it can't replace creativity and original like human ideas. I guess thoughts on AI, or even like advice on kind of like how to navigate it, or just like what's your take on, or like where this is all going?
Well, we were talking earlier
Yeah.
about the fact that if you don't embrace it,
Yeah.
then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you're going to suffer because of that. You know,
Yeah.
that your position will eventually be replaced 100% or a percentage.
Yeah.
By AI. So we embrace it, and we've used it in novel ways. We were doing a project for Colossus Creative for Grey Whale Gin. And it was one of two campaigns, and this one was 15-second cocktail making videos. So we weren't moving the camera, really, just a wee bit. Most of the action was the bartender.
Yeah.
And they're making the real drink and then serving it to actors who looked like they were on the California coast. So we didn't want to create it in Unreal Engine, because right now Unreal Engine isn't great with water. Like the whole concept was that they are on the California coast. Therefore, we had to see moving water, rolling waves, mist. But we also wanted some control in the set, like all clients and agencies want. So what we did is we used generative AI to make the terrestrial elements of the California coastline. So we were able to move, if we wanted to, trees, or give a different prompt to the AI tool that we were using.
Yeah.
To move that house, or make that house lower on the hill. And then what we did for the moving waves is we it was almost like a mat and a key. We took stock video from Shutterstock
Nice.
of rolling waves,
Nice.
matched it to the vantage point and vista of the terrestrial elements that were created in Gen AI, and it looked like you were there.
Wow.
You know, and real rolling waves, and we had misters, and we had foreground elements, and we had the talent. It looked like they were there. So, that's how we embrace Gen AI. Gen AI. It's the right tool for the right job. It's not the right tool for every job.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to end up using it more and more
Yeah. Very
as that technology is used more for commercial applications, like we're using it for.
Yeah.
Where we can use tracking, where we can be a little bit more. Have a little bit more of a customization like we can with Unreal Engine environments. I think it will definitely be used more and more, and we have to embrace it, and we want to embrace it.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah. Love that.
that's what I think.
Yeah.
I'm
Very
not
cool.
scared that it's going to replace my job.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
I'd like to see it try. Come at me, AI.
Right.
Come at me, bro. So, anyways,
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's great. No, well, Ken, thank you so much. This
You're
has been
very, very welcome.
Amazing. We hopefully, we can maybe do this again, and hopefully I can even get a production in here as well. Like we were talking about earlier.
And I'm serious about the screening.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
The management, the leadership here are all about supporting local makers.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So-
That's so cool.
And
yeah.
it gives your audience exposure to
Yeah.
this, so everybody benefits.
Sure.
But it was a joy to talk to you.
Yeah.
And thanks again. I'm flattered that you reached out to me, and I hope we've collectively, you and me, have educated and inspired
Yeah.
Your viewers and your listeners.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope so too. I'm pretty sure we did. And no, all the same, back to you. Thank you so much for everything, Ken. This has been great. And
Huzzah to
yes,
us.
huzzah to us.
Nice job, everybody.
Wonderful.
So,
all right.
cool.
Thanks, Ken. Take
You're
care.
very,